Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Geraci, and I'm going to do a second deep dive into reprints. Man, oh man, it's when I got into comics, late 74 through 75, etc. Boy, those giant-sized comics with the reprints inside really just, they made me want to know more and more and more about the Marvel Universe, because at the time, the Marvel Universe was only 13, 14 years old, so a high number for Spider-Man would be like 136 or 145. And it's funny because to me it seemed to take forever, but when you talk about current day, like, Batman started the relaunch, the soft reboot or whatever with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. That lasted a lot of issues. That book's like up to adult 150, which is great. But a lot of books just don't have that kind of stability. So, of course, but I speak out of ignorance because the giant-sized books, they couldn't even save Marvel's, bottom line, because they went all reprint. They used to have 30-page comic book story, brand new, by the usual creators of the book, and then they would have a backup, which would have a backup reprint that was associated with the main storyline. Now this, that's wonderful. That looks like John Romita, but it's not. It's Ed Hannigan, Frank Giacoia, and Mike Esposito. Man, oh man, you see that on the shelf, and you have the 50 cents to get it. You get it. So, and what's awesome about it, reprints a Spider-Man Annual 4, and it is drawn by Larry Lieber, Stan's brother. Okay, well, Stan actually scripted this, and wait a second. Yeah, okay. Esposito and Tony Morello did the inking. So right off at a good start, like a lot of buildings and such. Larry Lieber, he's really underrated, and I think that's because he's so anonymous. I guess he's just kind of he doesn't hog the spotlight. He doesn't crave the spotlight. He may be still doing the Spider-Man newspaper strip that shows up in some fan books or, weekly free magazines and such, or I don't even know if he's in any papers anymore. The only time I'd seen the Spider-Man newspaper strip for years was in Comic Shop News, run by Cliff Biggers, and he sold it off to someone else, so I don't know if they're continuing it. But man, what a spread. That is beautiful. So, I love that panel there. He tries to stop Human Torch because he's acting like a crazed maniac. And that's a real nice shot there. And then, I love that. Taking off the full fire hydrant and spraying them. And they're about to get down to business. Slug it out. But it was a movie that Torch was supposed to be in, and it was a major screw up. What's going on here? A couple of minutes ago, the pinhead pygmy was melting armored cars. Yeah, the luck came up for that. And don't come back. He's like, I screwed up. Jameson. Spider-Man screwed it up. I picture how many times J. Jonah Jameson is bored with his day, but then when he finds out about Spider-Man, he lights up like a candle. It's kind of like when you get I don't know, I guess it's like when your favorite TV show comes on. Abomination Wendigo by Johnny Romita Sr. So they both go out to Hollywood because Spider-Man's made an offer, been approached as well, and he thinks, well, Aunt May could use the money. So they bury the hatch. What is it? No. Anyway, they have a truce. And it's just tremendous fun. So he has Kirbyisms, and he has some like that kind of panel there where he says roll them. But he also has some of like the Dick Ayers stuff that maybe isn't as strong, but in general, it's a great combination. And I don't mean in the inking phase. I'm just talking about how, this isn't your normal Spider-Man comic at the time. It would usually be done probably this time around with John Romita and with Don Heck doing the actual penciling from layouts, and then Mike Esposito. But then later on, they had John Romita layouts for John Buscema to pencil and Jim Mooney to ink. So this is what it felt like, just a little off, but it was still better than just about anything on the stands. So nice shot there. That's one of those Kirby shots that's been duplicated billions of times, and it never gets old. First time I ever saw Spider-Man's back get singed. But I don't think it ripped his back. I like the way the buildings are in the back there. It just takes your mind off of the background because it's not a salient point. So in the trailer, with the corrugated tin, breaks in, and this is why Johnny can't read, because he's holding a book and he gets interrupted by Spider-Man. The Human Torch. I told you I suspect nothing. Good. I've been looking for my revenge, and nothing can spoil it now. Turn off your flame jets. You're making it much too hot in here. Well, you got that thing over your head. Mysterio. I remember when Mysterio showed up in the Spider-Man cartoon during the, what's that guy's name? Ralph Bakshi. No. So anyway, and they had Mysterio, and he called him Mysterio. And there is our handsome as ever, the Wizard. We decide to team up. Such fun memories. Oh my gosh, look at that. Over the years, though, I finally got them all. So, a lot of great stuff. I mean, storytelling is just tremendous fun. I'm kind of surprised Larry didn't get to do a lot more superhero stuff. He was relegated to cowboy, Western type comics, and that's okay. If that's what he wanted. He's a great comic, great artist, whichever milieu, whichever métier he pursues. So, but yeah, I mean, he could. I think if he was doing more Marvel books, like some of the superhero ones that were struggling, I think he could have helped them out a lot. And there's a very Kirby kind of giant gorilla. And there's no swipes. The only thing I made say swipe is I think part of that might be Claw using a sonic creature. But I may be totally wrong. I don't know. It's like any partial swipes that Larry would do, it would be to complete the imagery and keep the standards high, basically. Like if he had a part he was troubled with, he might swipe something, but everybody does it. Everybody. It's just a degree of how much you do it if you're an artist. Ooh, I just had a big old sneeze. Ooh, I just had another big old sneeze. Get the sneezels. That's kind of like, that's not a swipe, but it's a very Kirby, deliberate kind of blocking. So wonderful. And it's like a big ass story. And then you get to see the coffee bean. Really great. This is from the original, they called them king size specials back then, but then retroactively they're called annuals. And just perfect, just wonderful. Some of this stuff showed up in the very first Marvel Treasury edition, which I was lucky to get, and it changed my world when it came out. And this is the stuff that Marvel used to do all the time. Just little stuff like that. Little treats. The web shield. And love that. Oh my gosh. The only thing is that Sandman is everything else is like John Romita, but that is a photostat of Kirby doing Sandman with the issue with Blastar. So cool stuff. I spent a lot of time on that. Well, there's a lot to read. Marvel Double Feature is ready to come to an end because the split book that they're reprinting is wrapping up towards issue 99 to 100, and the other book was started with issue 1. This is Frank Giacoya inks. No, make no mistake. like big and bold on the cloth. And the artist, I'm not sure. I would wager it was Ron Wilson, because he did a lot of like cramped type stuff like that. It looks solid, you know. And Joe Sinnott jumps on board, returning briefly for to do. Actually, no, it's the beginning of him doing Kirby on Captain America, where he used to just ink Fantastic Four. So, but as always, it's great. There was a time where some of the creators were moved around, and a lot of times it was scheduling. Like Frank Giacoya had to do Fantastic Four 97 or something like that, and that's because Kirby had done Fantastic Four annual number 6 or something, and Sinnott was inking that, whatever. So there's Steve Rogers. That's funny though. In the late mid 60s and into the 70s, the brim hat style never went away, and you'd see burglars wearing these brim hats, and while everyone is wearing like, you know, just like half naked, and you know, chains down their neck, you know, with the collar all the way down, and you know, just really crazy stuff. And so if I saw somebody like that, a straight-laced guy with that brim hat, I'd be suspicious of him. It's like not quite hiding in plain sight. So, but it's great to see the original Avengers. Well, one of them at least, Goliath. He's trying too hard. It means the poor guy is fighting another mood of depression. Mortals, bah! Can you not accept what is said without seeking hidden meanings? And there's Sean Carter on the cover. Here comes a classic Kirby character that we're only going to see once, and it's just amazing. He could just burp out these fantastic designs. So Nick Fury is at the barbershop, which is, it's also a barbershop, but it's also like a hidden access to SHIELD headquarters underground. Like the barber will press a button, and the stool will go down to the SHIELD headquarters, and then come right back up. So he tries to catch up to Fury because he sees something. It's not the greatest storytelling because it's just kind of odd how things are kind of crammed. You're like, oh, people went to action. Because I don't think, give me a second, please. You know, now. I see it's gonna. Anyway, I just get so caught up in the Kirby that I forget that I'm actually doing a little show here. So beautiful stuff, and Cap building his mission to save Fury. Give me that gun. You'll never fire a living target again. So much great stuff going on there. I'm ready for. Let's wrap up. Only one of us is going to walk out of here under his own steam. And it won't be you. This was a correction because in the original book it says only one of us is going to get up under our own steam, and it won't be me. And that's sort of been like a legendary gaffe. But by the way, that last panel is a redraw by John Romita for whatever reason. Anyway, what's happened here with Iron Man? There was one of these chapters actually showed up in. Was it Son of Origins of Marvel Comics, and this book was killing time. The Iron Man storyline was killing time until issue 1, because this Whiplash thing starts quite a bit. The previous issue, 97. Let's see what this is. This is 99. Okay, but anyway, 97 at the end had Whiplash, and then Whiplash was kind of keeping Iron Man at bay. He was kind of whipping around. They're like in this enclosed room. And then it went to 98, 99, and it was like, good Lord, how is this, why aren't we moving on? And and then Iron Man and Submariner #1 continued the story with Whiplash and AIM. So, and then finally with issue 100, they wrapped everything up. There's Jasper Sitwell kicking some ass. I don't know why they didn't in Marvel, like Jasper Sitwell for the Captain America movies. Why did they use this guy, like a fresh-faced, college-looking kid, and instead of the guy they got? Who cares? So, last page. Here we go. There's a Twinkies commercial. Los Andrew. See, this is a lot of it's just kind of the torrent without, the tumult within. That's a great line. I wonder if it's taken from Shakespeare or something, or if it's just something I came up with. That's Archie Goodwin on the script, by the way. Giant-sized Power Man. And what's funny is the book was only like out for 20 issues, I think, at the time. Really cool Rip Snort and Gil Kane cover, and I love to see, even though it's a little screwy there. I love the spine. I just love this format. And I have, I had all the issues, so it's just, got this for collecting purposes, to be a completist. So Steve Englehart is the plotter and the co-scripter. Billy Graham, not the evangelist, but Billy Graham, a young African-American artist who also worked on the Black Panther, he's co-scripting, and I really like his style. It reminds me a little bit in the body language. It's almost puts me in mind of like Bill Everett. I know that's a stretch. I'm not saying it is Bill Everett, but he gives them this, I don't know how to put it, but I like it. This goes back to the flashback with this like real a-hole guard who, when Luke Cage was framed, and he broke out when he got the superpowers, and he changed his name, and this guy comes in. I love, Power Man always had the best villains. This is big bad, and as strong as our hero is, this guy's like the same weight class and the same, he's a hard one to fight. Man, so fuzzy. This isn't even me. It's just like the reproduction is so poor. Well, I'm going to get that guy. So, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Then we end up with Comanche, and I can't remember what the other guy's name is. But I love it. Cage had the coolest villains. My only complaint is these 2 pages are a little bare. But otherwise, sometimes artists will leave a lot of room for the writer because they could script like crazy. So Billy Graham, co-scripter artist, and Tony Isabella co-scripts. Steve Englehart is the camp counselor. So he's sort of like a de facto editor, even though Roy Thomas is hands-on editor-in-chief. That guy. It's so funny because in the first issue of Luke Cage Power Man, it was drawn by George Tuska, and George Tuska always got in his habit, like for years and years and years, of drawing bad guys with these huge overbites, like Baba Booey teeth, and it's funny because the joke is that his name is George Tuska, and all the bad guys have these big old tusks. So it's really good stuff. That's really, really enjoyable. Now here's a storytelling mess up. Luke shows up. He goes, "Some friend of yours, Cage? Greeting, Lucas. Remember us?" That's a great final panel there. But now it looks like they break in and they see him. So that's a bit of a bit of a mess up continuity-wise. I like Frank McLaughlin on the inks. He's one of those guys, another inker who just doesn't get such a fun book. It is so fun. Dig it. Now, here we go too. One of my favorite comics of all time. I bought Captain America 141 at a hospital when my dad was having an operation, and this comic I bought somewhere, and I can't remember where, but we weren't home. My parents they knew if they just gave me a comic book, I would just fade into the wall and reread the comic 100 times. And but this was really great stuff. Power Man and the Enchantress, who I didn't know was in Thor before. But you got Don Heck, inked by Wally Wood. And for the short time Wally Wood was with Marvel, his name was ballyhooed everywhere. There was a issue of Avengers that came out that was reprinted in Marvel Triple Action where it said, and later you'll see the great Wally Wood on the inks. And they did that on the issue of Daredevil too. And, but it's a beautiful... Wood, I think, if you're talking standard comic book artist, Wood, I think, everything he produces is great. You know, it's always going to end up looking like Wally Wood. You know, and Don Heck knows how to do the stances and such, but Wally Wood just takes it a little bit further. Like when he Steve Ditko in the 70s a couple times, and he was the one artist who always drew a bow and a lip, like right above your lip. There's that little area between your nose, the bow right there. So it's beautiful stuff. Circus of Crime. I love that he kept. Don was looking at Hulk #3 with the Ringmaster to get that feel, and it works. So you've got those a-hole Circus of Crime people, and yeah, the printing's really bad. I love Hawkeye because what I like is that he has a bigger torso than most characters, because using your arrows, it takes a lot of your back muscles, your shoulders. There was an issue, I think the last issue of the Hawkeye miniseries, 1983, where the bad guy was trying to pull the bow and he couldn't, because you have to have a certain set of strength in your arm. You know, it's like, and I love that. So he was like, oh, meanwhile, Iron Man's fighting. Thor's going to the greatest battle, and Giant Man, whereabouts? I'm sure you ever won. Your guess is as good as ours. I remember seeing him, I'm like, I want to see him. But that was for another time. So great stuff. And the staging by Heck is it's perfect. I mean, it's like acting one-on-one, because there's some artists of this era that, you know, each of these could be like a frame for a movie still. Just the way it's all set up. Well, this guy like, I arranged the Avengers downfall. You know, I want to represent you two. Blah blah blah. He goes, listen, Big Mouth. It was Enchantress and me to frame the Avengers. We set them on wild goose chases to make the public think they're cracking up. Is that so? I never suspected. You vain fool! You're talking too much. And she senses something in that briefcase. Roll the tape. You record everywhere we said. Right. I got what I wanted. Tape that will prove the police that the Avengers are innocent. I love that stance. He's like, I'm ready to throw down. Scoops up the tape, puts it in his fanny pack or whatever he's wearing, and he cuts loose. I love that. Really wonderful stuff. Top of the stairs, pulls the rug. I like his animation. I remember the cartoon, as limited as the animation was, he pulled the rug and it didn't really have to change. He like went right to that panel. And it's just that what I'm digging is he does Power Man has superior strength and endurance, and Cap's still fighting. Knocks him through a wall, ends up at the bottom of the steps, but Hawkeye and the others come along to put him in his place. Come on, I got fingernails. Okay, well, they're kind of messing around with Power Man, and the Enchantress is like, enough! I fear I backed the wrong man. I thought you would be different, but you lack the killer instinct. Wait, what do you mean? I mean, farewell. Don't leave me. So, quickly is our chance. Relax, lady. The fight's over. Without her, what have I got to fight for? He means it. Power Man will trouble us no more. And look at that. I mean, This is Wally Wood stuff. And he's like, looks like you saved the day, Steve. We'll let bygones be bygones, guess again. I played straight man to you jokers all along. You can get yourselves another clown. No, our names are clear. I'm kissing you off. He means it. Pretty cool stuff. Neat. Wow, look at this cover. It's lovely. Man. Wow. So this is this is the end of 75, the last few months of 75, which they start to say an annual collection of the Thunder God's greatest battles. So they're abandoning quarterly release of giant-sized books, and they're all reprint at this point. The Avengers, Spider-Man, like I showed you, and this reprints Thor Annual, or King Size number 2. So how about that? Those designs of Kirby are just, his brain is just, nobody has a brain like that. Nobody had one like that. And there's a ton of people who've tapped into it after the fact, but good Lord. Evil Loki, the absorbing man. How about that? So they're all celebratory, and there's a bar fight that starts. Hogan the Grimm's always been cool. I always pictured him, the guy who played him in the Thor movie is pretty cool, but I always pictured like George Harrison in his long bearded phase around 1971 to be Hogan the Grim. And you gotta start having fat jokes now because of Volstagg. And there's this little guy fighting him. But meantime, in the tomb, the ruins of the tomb where the Destroyer was, the Destroyer returns. Now, previous episodes I screwed up. His original idea, Kirby's original design had these really cool like snaps along here, and it was more elaborate, and I blamed later artists like Buscema and whoever for simplifying it, but no, this time around Kirby simplified it. As long as that helmet was there, that helmet's just really amazing. And I loved when I had it in the first Thor movie. Like, how about that? Look at that. I don't know, and for what I've heard, Kirby, he doesn't lay anything out. He didn't always start from the top right to the far bottom left, or vice versa. So you get some classic Kirby. These two panels here I love. Man, that's really great stuff. I guess I'm saying great stuff. You know what I mean. It is great. Destroyer shows up. He's invading Asgard, which is a great idea. And then they have Volstagg, because he's heavy set. He's got to be the goof. He's got to be the, for the longest time. So, thankfully later they kind of toned down on that shit, because it's just dumb. It's like, in fact, what was it? There was an issue Lynn Wein had done with John Buscema where Volstagg saved one of the other Warriors 3, and then in Simonson's run, he really gave Volstagg a lot of respect. Wow. This is something else, though. I mean, the Destroyer is indestructible, and Thor just keeps slamming away at him. And the unthinkable happens. The Destroyer is downed. Not for long, but I just love that. That hadn't happened in the previous time they met. Odin must perish. Uh-oh, he's getting that. Okay. There's Brave Balder. And the all-encompassing beam closes Loki's mind to all thought, to all memory, because Loki was inhabiting the armor. I'm like, yeah, man, bring on the ale. Woo! And then we get the wah, 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 wah. We're back to the very first king size special of Thor with Hercules. First appearance. His first appearance here, he wouldn't show up in the book for several months later, but it's been established that they know each other. Because this story sort of ends like a fairy tale, like Thor thinks. Did I imagine it? So Thor's just, he's beating down some giants. He ends up somewhere else. Thus the Thundergauntlet falls for time without end, though void. Blah, 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 blah. That's no ordinary fall. I am unwittingly crashed through the hidden entrance to Olympus. That's a bit of a leap to say Olympus. And there's Pan playing the flutes. A satyr. Is that how you say it? I shall bear thee no more insolent one. My hammer shall not speak for me. Like, I control your hammer. No. Really, look at that. I mean, when they start fighting again, and when Thor gets his own title around issue 26, 125 or 126, one of the greatest battles ever. So Zeus shows up and says, hey, everything's cool? Cool. All right. So you going to write to me? Maybe not. So Thor thinks about it. Someday I shall again meet Hercules, hero song and story. The day Heimdall failed. This was one of the many Tales of Asgard stories that was the backup of Journey into Mystery featuring Thor. And it's really interesting, especially having something like George Bell, a.k.a. George Roussos, who inks so heavy. He's a production guy, so he wants to make stuff heavy so colors can, stop. I don't want to say coloring book, but it just, and I love it. That's a creepy face. I just love a second shadow. So that's it, everybody. I hope this brings back a lot of memories to y'all. I know it does me. And goodness gracious, those giant size, they really need to bring them back on a regular basis. But I don't know what the price tag would be. I wouldn't mind if they were newsprint, but newsprint's not really a thing anymore, which is disappointing. I don't need to have shiny paper flying in my face. So, boy, I sound like 100 years old. Back in the day. All right, hey, thanks for spending time with me. It's a half hour, and I greatly appreciate your viewership. And if you haven't already, click like and subscribe, and please check if you're getting notifications, because someone had mentioned, somebody, he said that he wasn't getting notifications anymore. So that's just a YouTube screw with you kind of thing. I think they want you to buy, your own, use money to, make sure that doesn't happen anymore. But the algorithms in the meantime will screw with you. So if you haven't, double check if you've hit liked and notifications. So, all right, now that's it. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.